Thanks, Mary. I've been challenged to get a little rowdy up here, and I'm going to try to do that and try to follow up with Kimber. I want to also say that if you want to see people power, you should watch APEN show up in green neon t-shirts. They will knock your socks off. So I want to talk to you about Housemarque Kentucky. I want to start by asking you, how many investments do you know that literally pay for themselves, create meaningful jobs, impact climate change, help people in poverty? I could go on, but there aren't very many. Maybe education and good business. But the program that I try to run does exactly that. Housemarque Kentucky. It's an inclusive financing program for energy upgrades, and it's done by MACID in partnership with 6 rural electric co-ops. Are there any folks here from the utility industry? Darn. Okay. But we're doing this in coal country, mainly in coal country in southern Appalachia. And, you know, I started as an auditor and residential energy specialist in 2011, became the program coordinator late last year, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about, first, before I describe the program, what MACID is. You heard the word CDFI earlier, and that is what MACID is. MACID, the ED in MACID is economic development. And we try to do that as a CDFI, which is a Community Development Financial Institution. What we do is try to be a catalyst for what we call just transition in Eastern Kentucky, especially as demand on coal declines. I don't mean to imply that this need stems from the decline of the coal industry, because it was already there, but it is exacerbated by that issue. And so we need to help our communities find opportunity in clean energy and other new pursuits to diversify the economy as we transition. Because it doesn't matter what we think about coal or climate change, the world is moving in a direction that we have to respond to. So we support this community development at MACID through non-traditional business lending, entrepreneurial support systems, policy work, and investment programs like Housemarque Kentucky. So we literally have people that work on policy. And we have very innovative financing, new financing programs that I'd love to share with you if you want to catch up with us later. And so now I'm going to try to explain Housemarque Kentucky. What we are building on is the simple fact that energy efficiency, when done well, literally pays for itself. That's a pretty big deal, but it's not new information. But unfortunately, there are a lot of barriers that keep people from accessing that economic engine in the places that they live. And so those barriers are access to financing. They are uncertainty about, you know, how long they plan to live at their address. And they are, another barrier is a lack of expertise, access to expertise and quality control. Because it's easy for a businessman to say, hey, this will pay for itself. But you know, windows don't pay for themselves unless you have 40 years. And most people think they do. And so you need a impartial third-party expert to help you figure that stuff out. And that's part of what we do. And so we hurdle these big issues, financing, expertise, and uncertainty in housing through a system called Pay As You Save, or PAYS. And that allows for our efficiency jobs to be financed directly on your electric bill, most often with $0 up front, and paid for out of the utility savings that are created by our retrofits. I have to put money in your pocket, or I can't make a deal happen. I have to put money in your pocket. I can only use 90% of the savings that I think I can create at your job to use for the payment. And we're going to actually lower that number soon. And so I'm going to put money in the co-op member's pocket. And it just so happens that if you want to create a program like this and maximize benefits across a co-op or across a municipality or even across an investor-owned utility, because one day they will do this, you know, and not just have benefits for the folks that get retrofits, you're naturally going to be targeting the folks that are in low-income communities and substandard housing, because that's where the demand savings and peak demand that that help to pay for these things happen. And this is not charity. You're paying for it out of the savings, and the utility companies actually see a benefit from it. They improve their bottom line. It's really wonky, but it really happens. And so, let me explain and clarify. This is not a loan. It's an investment in the property. It's an opt-in tariff that is just like any other charge on your utility bill, like the environmental surcharge. And many utility companies in Kentucky charge an environmental surcharge, but we don't get very much from that money that we're paying. And so we're going to come into homes and finance just no-brainer improvements like sealing ductworks, sealing the house, adding insulation, and upgrading furnaces, electric furnaces to heat pumps. It is 4 times as expensive to heat a home with an electric furnace, at least 3, sometimes 4 times as expensive to heat with a furnace versus a heat pump. And HouseSmart is available to renters, not just homeowners. And the terms of the tariff apply automatically to the future tenants and homeowners. So we take away that uncertainty about the investment and allow that to move on to the next person that lives in the home. And they get to benefit from it too. And they get to see a cash flow from it too. And when that investment is paid back, then the entire amount of savings is going to the homeowner. Now, I'm going to give you some quick stats on our program. And we're kind of a granddaddy in on-bill financing. And we're kind of using a 1.0 model. And there are better models. And there are bigger programs. But I'm glad you invited me here anyway, instead of those other guys and gals. So to date, over about 5 years, we've done about 538 energy evaluations and 289 energy retrofits across eastern Kentucky. A majority of the customers who receive an offer from their utility, their co-op, to invest in these homes under the terms of the tariff say yes. 55% actually say yes. We are doing jobs that cost an average of over $7,500 per home. And even though we don't ask for income verification to participate, the majority of those jobs go to low and moderate income households. We are seeing an average estimated monthly savings of over $50 a month on energy bills. We are seeing an average monthly HouseSmart charge of just over $33 a month, which means that we're putting over $17 a month in the pockets of the participants as their homes are healthier, more comfortable, more durable, and even more valuable. So, what that means is that we've been able to, through this program and through our co-op partners, invest $2.1 million into the region over these 5 years. Thanks. So, it seems silly, but I'm asked, how does this create economic development? Obviously, $2.1 million of investment does create economic development. It goes directly to contractors who are local. It creates jobs that cannot be outsourced, as Mary said. You have to do it local. But it also ends seasonal cycles of energy poverty. High bills in winter create a housing crisis every spring as the bills come due, and families turn to precious savings or choose energy over medicine or energy over food. And they want to keep those lights on, they have to. And by investing in these upgrades, we can address some of the worst things that happen in these communities and reduce the cost of living and improve the quality of life. And so when we do that and the money goes to the contractors, local contractors, that is direct economic development. But when they spend that $16, $17 a month that they save in their local communities, that's indirect economic development. So we see a ripple effect going out there. And we transform markets by helping our utility partners develop these new lines of business for clean energy solutions. So I'm going to speed this up. We're starting with efficiency because it's the most cost-effective option and it's available to most people. But you can do this with renewables, and at least one of my co-op partners has asked how to do that. The pay system is applicable and could be used for solar, on-site batteries, or any other renewables, EV charging stations, anything on one side of the meter. What have we learned? We have learned that it works. And although perceived risk can be high, it's not risky. We've seen charge-offs less than 0.1% across every PAYS program in the nation of the investment portfolios of our utility partners. Not just ours, but all the programs. But we, at HouseSmart, we need to get to scale to make a more significant impact. All right, it's hard to get these partners to invest in efficiency if they don't grasp the business case. So we're working to figure that out, how to show them how it improves their bottom line. So we're going to pay for some financial analysis to show them, because we're seeing other co-ops that have seen a 10% internal rate of return because they're seeing a 2 to 3 kilowatt drop in load in those houses. So to be able to execute the program at a larger scale, we have to do that analysis, upgrade to the new versions, the 4.0 versions, get new software systems and platforms. And I want to tell you that it took us 4 years to deploy the first $1 million across our 6 co-op partners. But just last year, one co-op in Arkansas launched their program and deployed $1 million in 4 months. And so we're going to bring those guys to Kentucky. And we're going to say, hey, tell us about how you did this at scale. And in fact, one of the ladies who does it, similar job to me, is named Tammy. She'll be in Kentucky in September. So we've seen a lot of learning and innovation. We're going to learn from the folks that came after us. Thank you. And we understand it's very challenging. I want to say that promoting cooperation among cooperatives is one of the principles of electric co-ops. There's a lot of assistance available. Roanoke Energy in North Carolina the CEO has written an open letter that you can take to your local rural electric co-op. And he's provided the tools that he used to get this program started that you can take to your co-op. Program design is key. The questions that you ask up front and the people that you ask them to are very important. And so I want to close by saying thank you. I want to tell you that I came to this work out of a crisis in my business to transform my career, but it also transformed me personally. And it could eventually, my little part can eventually transform the entire energy sector, and that's a big deal. So thank you for allowing me to share this experience with you. We know that the economies in Eastern Kentucky and Montana have been in large parts in certain areas shaped by the coal industry. We know that persistent poverty is a real challenge in many of these areas, and it's a real challenge in participating in a clean energy future. Finally, I hope this story raises your confidence that organizing your communities to work with your co-ops and your utilities is a great way to mobilize investments in housing upgrades and take the first step toward a new clean energy economy for all of you. Thanks.